Bear with me.
All right, Josh, we're just going to get straight into it from there. So, yeah, I think let's go.
Fine. Yeah, so guys, obviously today, I'm sure Jamie's just said, but planning, organisation and commitment. There's a couple of really key things, and I think that this is honestly going to be absolutely great for everybody watching because it solves most of the problems that I think people have had in terms of just knowing how to set up, knowing how to get routine. We spoke about it in week one in terms of how important this aspect of things is. And it's something that's come up in every webinar that we've done so far. Pretty much every check-in response has been driving people back to this. So what we thought we wanted to do was make sure that your planning and organisation is on point, but also make sure that your commitment levels are there to really move forward. Now, today we're going to cover the goal setting side of things. We're going to look at the key 5 and why we do it. We're going to be considering how to plan your week, how to plan your day, what obstacles, challenges are coming up, because the obstacles and challenges are one of the key things that people don't plan. And if you can have a plan there for them saying, if this happens, this is what I'll do, that'll completely transform how much you get done in your week. You focus and just having a plan for switching off. If something does throw you off track, how do you pull it back in? And then your commitment and celebrating wins. You know, if you've got all this right and you've got your actual planning aspect right, you've considered everything that is likely to come up, 9 times out of 10, that'll be enough. Not always, and we'll talk about that. But then what you've got to do is have the commitment to actually see that through. And that's going to be so important to make sure that we actually manage that. Jamie, can you do me a favour? I think that the Facebook might have just disconnected there.
It has. It was me that did that. I've basically shared it on my own page instead of in the group. So just bear with me. Stay on this slide. I'll be 2 seconds.
No problems. Yeah, and guys, you know, obviously how and when to change things, because like I've just said, it's not always something that is going to go to plan. Even if you've planned it as well as could ever be expected, you've put in all of your likely challenges, all of the likely obstacles. You know, this is the thing. Things come up, things do get in the way. Now, most of the time, that's absolutely fine. If you're planning your week and you've got the commitment so that when you can get things done, you are getting them done, then those are bad days, bad weeks where something else is more important, something else has to be prioritized, is absolutely fine. And a lot of the time, it's just a case of swapping things around. So we'll talk about how you do that. We'll talk about how we actually put that in play. And then reflect, review, reset. So important that we, you know, people talk to me all the time about motivation. I feel less motivated this week. And a lot of the time, it comes down to the fact that they've not reset the focus for that week, for that day. In the morning, they're not clear on what they need to achieve. At the start of the week, they're not clear on what they need to achieve. So that motivation, making sure that you take time out to reflect, to review what you're doing so far, to review the progress that you're making, to reset and make sure that you are very clear on what your goals are for that week. Guys, that's going to be key. Jamie, are you?
Yeah, all good. We can move on.
Cool, buzzing. So, I mean, as Jamie said, if you've got questions, guys, drop them in. If you want to ask questions on Zoom, put your hand up. If you put them on Facebook, we might see it, but it will be much better watching on Zoom. Just before we start, a couple of the key questions for the week, and I'm going to cover these now. How to use the optional workouts. So within all of the training phases that you guys will be doing at the minute, there's probably some optional workouts. Certainly on both phases of the home workout plan. On all phases actually of the home workout plan, there's some of these optional workouts. If you're finding that these are going to be more appropriate to do, say you've got dumbbells and a bench and you want to do a resistance training session, or you've got kettlebells and a bench and you want to modify these, that's absolutely fine. Put them in, you know, so because the key thing at the minute, yes, we've spent a lot of making the program progressive, making sure that it is going to work week on week and you're going to adapt and get benefit from it. But, you know, me and Jamie do this all the time. Occasionally, you might go in and just want to do something a little bit different in the gym. Now is the exact same. You know, you've been at this now for 4 or 5 weeks at least for most of you. And you might be looking to do just a different type of workout as a bit of a one-off, just keep things fresh. That's where these optional workouts come in. So absolutely feel free to use them. Ideally, they'll be done in addition to the main workouts. But as a bit of a one-off, if it's just going to be something different, then that's absolutely fine, guys. You can use that. Can I add cardio sessions? It's a question that we've had off a few people. I think that the key thing is not doing too much cardio if your goal is something like building muscle. Now, at the minute, I'll be completely honest, for the vast majority of people, the goal is going to be get fitter, get healthier, lean up, move better, and things that cardio does actually work extremely well with. So absolutely add cardio sessions. All you've got to be aware of is the total amount that you're doing. We spoke about this very early on. If you're not well adapted to cardio, from a movement point of view, from a strength point of view, from a fitness point of view, there's going to be recovery needed in the specific joints. It's going to be higher if, for example, you don't run and you start running. You're not going to be as good at running. Your movement won't be as good. So you will require more recovery. Even if your fitness is top end and you don't feel tired from it, where your joints, your movement economy is just going to require longer to recover. So making sure that we factor in time for recovery from these cardio sessions, that's all you need to do.
Yeah, I think one other thing to add just on that is that people's got to like cardio is a very broad term. You know, like walking is cardio, but so is a HIIT session. So making sure you've got a varied amount of different types of cardio that you do might be something that people look at. And, you know, just because we say running might not be the best thing to do, or we've said that in the past, I certainly have. Just because we've said that doesn't mean that we say never. You've got to make sure that if you're putting high intensity cardio in, you're putting low intensity cardio in, you know, you're doing it for the purpose. That's the big one.
I think that the problem with the biggest issue probably with running is that no one, if you're not a runner, in fact, even if you are a runner, for a lot of people, this concept of doing things at different paces, different speeds, and not just running as far as you can, as fast as you can all the time, is quite difficult for people to get their head around. And so making sure that you are training in the right sort of training zone, right intensities, that's the key thing. Whether you do it running, whether you do it on a bike, whether you do it through some bodyweight movements, just understanding what the goal of that training session is. That's exactly what Jamie's saying there. That's so important to get right, guys, even regardless of what level you're at. Now, I'm hungry. I feel like this leads to less commitment with the diet. I'm feeling like I'm just not eating enough. What can I do? This is an interesting one for me, because in most cases you've got to look and you've got to stop and say, do I need to be trying to restrict my food as much as I am? Because if the diet's just not sustainable at all, then from a calorie perspective and things, maybe you are just restricting your food too much. However, there are some things that you can do where you are eating a hell of a lot more food and eating the same amount of calories. So making sure that you are not using these calories, you know, if you're on 1,500 calories, you're not really going to fit McDonald's into your day every day. Yes, you can do it from a numbers point of view. However, you're going to be starving because that's going to take up your full day's worth of calories. So what I'm trying to get across is, you know, more fruits and veg, more lean proteins. That should be the basis of most of your meals, and everything else should be sort of the bits that you add to that, rather than trying to fit bits of food in that aren't going to support your goals. And if you're doing that already, then again, what we can ask is, if you're not able to stick to that number of calories and you're not really seeing anything trend in terms of your diet, you're not really losing, you're not really gaining, it might be a time to bump the calories up a little bit to something that is sustainable and see what's going on, get a real picture of what's actually happening with the diet. Similar point, I keep going over on carbs. Have we got any tips? Yeah, absolutely. The one that I've just said. So the key thing is, realistically, if you're continuously going over on carbs, have a look at what is making up your diet. So I don't want to be sort of overly specific on you should be having a lot of carbs, you shouldn't be. That's going to be dependent on the exercise, the types of training. But whatever diet plan you're on at the minute, we are sort of hoping that everyone can stick to it. If you're struggling to stick to it, that's where the issues come in. Now, obviously, this one might be a restricted carbs one. Low carbs for some people, by the way, might be 300 grams. For some, it might be 150. For some, it might be 400, dependent on the training. Maybe not that high, but it is dependent on what you're doing. Any tips though is, yeah, eat a lot of vegetables with your meals. Eat a lot of lean proteins every meal. If you're doing that every meal, you'll be able to get quite a lot of food volume. Your protein should be going up. Carbs should be going up. I'd also watch for high carb snacks.
The biggest things that people are going to be doing right now at the minute for this It's pretty straightforward. Alex is running a course on nutrition. He's literally running a free 30-day nutrition, that will go through all of this. It goes through carbs. He's on high protein this week. He's doing a live cooking tomorrow morning. So
and the entire focus of week one as well on that is the entire focus for week one on there was I don't know what's going on there with Jeremy, but that was creating a breakfast that gets away from this high carb breakfast. Because if you have toast or cereal or something like that, beans on toast, for example, might be fine to fuel your day and to fuel your workouts. However, we know that there's going to be, then it's going to bias your diet so that you feel like you're having to really restrict your carbs for the rest of the day. So a high protein breakfast can then mean that the rest of your day feels a little bit more balanced as well. That's the focus week one on the 30-day challenge. So
jump on that. If anyone's got any nutrition questions, jump on that. You don't have to be on it to lose weight, but it does give some real key insights to things that you probably haven't even thought about yet. What your breakfast is made up of. Do you start the day having to catch up protein and reduce carbs? Because if you do, then for your mindset, it's not going to be very good, is it? So all that is covered in that. And I would suggest that anyone with any sort of, even if you're not bad at nutrition, is going through some like bits of things that will just remind you and prompt you to just get a little bit better with it. Nobody's perfect with nutrition. But certainly, like, you can always learn on it. You can always be learning on nutrition. Something, a penny will drop and it'll be like, oh God, I should have done that.
More often than not, it's the simple stuff as well, isn't it? It's a really simple changes, the stuff that is the basic day-to-day habits that, regardless of what level you're at, they will always come in and they will help out get to where you need to be. I don't enjoy home training. So moving on from that. So nutrition, jump on the 30-day nutrition course that we're doing at the minute. I don't enjoy home training. It's not the same as training at FX. What can I do? I have had this a few times from a few people. Guys, I get it. We spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort to make FX the perfect place for you to train. So if you're feeling like you're missing it a little bit, so am I. That is what it is. I understand. I feel your pain with that. However, listen, if we're trying to get fit, we're trying to get healthy, do the stuff that we've said in the first week. Set up your home workout space so that it is as optimum as it can be based on your own situation, your own sort of individual situation, what weights you've got, what space you've got, what room.
I had a good conversation yesterday with one of the clients who was like, I'm trying to get into it. I'm trying to stick to this. And it just feels like one step too much. Sometimes you're just going to want to do something different. Like the plan's there for us. That is our foundation. Don't get me wrong. But if you miss a day on the program and want to swap it with something else, and, you're really not in the mood or whatever, then you can do. I think me and Josh talk about this as like, and I think some of you have been scared to sort of say to us, I didn't want to do that workout today, or it just didn't feel right. It's not going to feel great every day. Out of 10 workouts, you're going to get 4 that's perfect. You're going to get 3 that's mediocre. You're going to get another 3 that you hate. And that is just how it goes. So don't put yourself down for that. Don't feel bad about it. It's going to be like that. We've said that already, haven't we? We've sort of discussed that. One day you might just fancy doing a jog. One day you might think, oh, you know what, I didn't work hard enough there. I'm going to chuck a 15-minute circuit on the end. Or even instead of 5 sets, doing 3. Someone had that comment today. Oh, yeah, I just couldn't do the 5. I feel bad because I only did the 3. Well, yeah, great. Do the 3 because it's still part of the program, and develop it how it fits well for you. Hopefully you'll be at a point now where you can do that. And it takes us on, doesn't it, Josh, to why we didn't move the program this week.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we had the conversation on Sunday. We had the program ready to go. I sort of finalised it at the back end of last week, and I was doing some of the videos, and I just felt like we would get more out. The entire point of this is that the program is something that is developed to allow you to move on as much as possible. So from the theoretical standpoint, yes, it's all progressive. It's all allowing you to develop over the 8 weeks. And I think we both felt that phase 2 is more complex than 2 weeks would sort of give it credit for. So while people sort of took a week to get into the movements, and then they'd only trained on it for about a week, I had a lot of conversations, a lot of videos sent through. Is this right? Is that right? These are improving. without anyone really having the chance to train that movement because they just about got the movement. So we extended it by a week.
And it was the point that we wanted people to give the optional workouts a go as well. You know, it says optional on the plan. We wanted you to go and have a go. We wanted you to sort of see, you know, a bit more of a relaxed week without having to go and learn something new and do something new again. We wanted you to have a week where you sort of didn't have free reign of the program. And this is exactly where tonight fits in and where tonight's thing is, because what we actually find is that you guys just like being told what to do, exactly what to do on what day. But we can't do that when we don't see you all the time ourselves. So sometimes it means that you might have to think outside the box and think, you know what, I'm going to do strength push there and I'm going to do pull there. But then I really fancy doing a leg session, so I'm going to chuck that in there. I'm going to fancy doing a run, so that's where I'm going to do that. We think that you would be able to do that, and we wanted this week to be a little bit where it got you guys thinking about your program. Rather than being sort of turning up, doing exactly what we say, we wanted you to have them sort of questions. We wanted you to sort of chop and change little bits to adapt it for you. And I think, you know, we have had that this week, and don't feel bad about chopping and changing slight parts of it. If you're completely sodding it off and just going for runs, then I'll have words with you, because that's just not right. It's not what we're trying to do, is it? But you know, adding extra bits in or chopping and changing things around, that's exactly what we want you to be doing at the minute. You know, you could ask us the question, but certainly don't feel like you don't want to tell us that you don't want to do that workout. You know, we're here to make it right for you and adapt it for 100%. You guys.
And the main thing is with those workouts is that they are the base workouts. We said sort of from day one that the individualization around them, what cardio you need to put in, how hard you need to push those sessions, what else you need to do, if you need to do optional weight sessions or if you want to do optional weight sessions. Your focus still has to be individual. It's not a case of everyone go and crack on with these workouts. They're the foundations, but what you build around that to make sure that you're still moving towards your goals is really important. If you're working on running at the minute, make sure that you've got a running plan that works alongside this. If you're working on building as much muscle as possible, make sure that you've got a plan and you're using the optional weights workouts to build as much muscle as possible. Yeah. And that's also something that's included in Facebook.
Ali's just asked in a Facebook group, is splitting the workouts due to time restrictions okay? Yeah, absolutely fine. You know, even splitting the workouts is fine. And even reducing the sets is fine as well. You know, especially when we're doing things like 5 sets. We want you to be able to do it all. But if you're finding it's taking you a little bit too long, yeah, sure, drop it down, cut a bit out, do a half a workout in the morning and half at night. I mean, you can, it is flexible to do. Obviously, I'd say that it's probably not the most efficient way to do it. However, even if you took like a set off everything and then wanted to go and do, like I said, one of the optional like leg sessions on the back of it, or an optional shoulders and arms session on the back of it, or an optional HIIT cardio session. That's one thing that I wanted to say just before we move on any further about, and I've said it twice now about HIIT cardio, because I think it's important that you guys understand the difference between this. I've had, obviously I see some of you guys doing like the MyZone challenge at the minute, and I had a conversation earlier on with someone's like, yeah, I'm working out for like 2 hours on it, or working out for an hour on it, but I'm just staying in that same zone. Well, yeah, that's okay. But if you've been doing that all month, it's not going to give you as good a training effect. Let's try this week to try to maybe look at whether or not you can start to add in the HIIT sessions. See if you can go max effort. I know one of the runners had gone for a 5K this week as quick as he could. And he did his fastest ever 5K. And it's not because he's been running more, it's because he's been doing this more. So now we've had a few weeks into the program, and you've had a few weeks working on strength, working on these new exercises. Go and give yourself them little bits of tests. You know, push yourself in a HIIT workout. See if that workout that you did on week 1 felt so much easier, you know, on week 6 or week 5 or wherever we're at right now. You know, go and push yourself through some of the high intensity stuff. Let's get that put in so that you feel like, you know, I don't want anyone to think that, the only thing, which is I think has happened in some cases, there were only 4 workouts. And these are the 4 workouts, and that builds the foundation of the plan. It's the foundation of the strength part of the program, but we still want you to be doing that cardio. We still need it in. Hence why Alex's sweaty class was a sweaty class. We've still got in the Facebook group every single one of the live workouts is still in there. We've still got live conditioning sessions on your app. We've still got that all going. So, certainly get some in. Don't just do that steady run like Josh is saying. Do a 15-minute run if you want, and do a 3-minute interval with a 1-minute rest for 15 minutes and see how that is. But work max effort. Let's start to sort of be inventive with it. And if you can't be inventive, ask us how you can do it. Let's move on, Josh, because I've been rambling. I know. Sorry. But we need to get to the programming bit. We've got a tool in here. Move on, Josh. We've got a tool in here that's going to be really good for you to sort of be able to organize your week, think about the type of cardio. Josh, are you moving your slide?
I'll move on in a second. I've got something that I need to add to this, but you've not stopped for a breath yet.
Okay, so we've got something that's come up that will allow you to think about what type of cardio you're doing, what type of strength session you're doing, where you're putting it in, and it's a download that we're going to give you in a second that really is something that some of you, my clients, I think 2 of you have seen it, maybe a couple of Josh's have, but the majority won't have seen this yet. It's a really useful tool to use.
The only point that I wanted to make on that before actually moving on is that if we've had the conversation and we are working different adaptations, like we're saying there, everything that we're doing is focused on an adaptation, and working harder is one of the routes that we can go down for a lot of you. Most of you that I've spoke to this week, one-to-one, if you are putting running in or putting intervals in and things, it's certainly part of phase 3 where we've got max effort interval work, because that's phase 3 and that's where we're sort of building to. However, for some of you, you'll get much more benefit from doing if your weakness is clearly just that aerobic work at the minute, and you can put that in, it might be working the aerobic zone rather than the sort of things that's going to build up loads of acidity, require high recoveries and things. Right then, so let's get moving.
But again, it's supposed to be us working with you. Don't be scared. Just because we brought Alex in as well last week, I feel some of you have sort of said, I've messaged Alex. We are still running clients and running the program as well. We brought Alex in to help us do it, but certainly ask me and Josh the questions. It'll help us organise it. Don't get me wrong, we've got a lot on at the minute, but don't be scared to ask the question. What can I do to get a sweat on? What should I be doing here? Is this right? Use us. We are good at what we do. Use us.
Guys, so when it comes down to it comes down to the first thing that you need to do. We spoke about this every single week, but I still see this being missed by some people in terms of what the point is. If I have a conversation with someone at this stage in the course, they should be extremely clear on what their goal is, what they want to achieve, when they want to achieve it by. And they should be very, very clear on these 2 other elements. What is it going to take on a daily and weekly basis for me to get from where I am now to where I want to go? There should be a really clear structure that starts to emerge. You need to know what you need to do to get to your goals. If you're not sure, fire us a message. Please ask, because this is so important. And is it realistic? That works from 2 sides. That works from our point of view in terms of physiologically, would you be able to lose that amount of weight from what starting point you're at, or would you be able to build that much speed? There's a theoretical side of it. And then there is the side that you really need to think about, you really need to focus on. If it's going to take you training 5 times a week, at least, and sticking to whatever diet that's going on and putting in some stress management and things, is that what you're going to be able to do at the minute? If not, we might need to adjust the goals so that it is something a bit more realistic. So again, speak to us. This is an individual basis, but you should be 100% clear on what you need to do every day, every week to get to where you want to be. And if you're not 100% clear at this stage, you need to sort that out as soon as possible. You need to get really clear, because that's going to allow you to move forward. Jay, anything to add to that?
Move on.
Cool. So guys, a key 5, fitness, nutrition, fulfillment, relaxation and recovery. Again, just to introduce this, just to remind you something that we have spoke about now every single week. This is our key 5, and it is because all of these elements are completely interlinked. If you want to do well on your fitness journey, you want to lose weight, you want to get fitter, you want to get healthier, whatever it is that you want to do, the thing that you're not considering is going to be the thing that stops you making progress. I guarantee it. I've seen it hundreds of times over the past couple of years in terms of the thing that stops someone making progress is the thing that they've not considered. Fitness, your training is absolutely on point. Your diet is absolutely on point. but you're not considering recovery. So you start to get...
Or you're considering it and you just can't find the time, or it's just not there, or it's just not as important. And sometimes, you know, things... I always talk about the stress pipe, which I've got a little diagram when I do this, but I always talk about the stress pipe. There's only so much we can fit in, right? So all you guys know that, you know, when you've got so much on, when there's so much chaos, you're not going to get everything perfect. So you're not going to be able to do 10 out of 10 on fitness, 10 out of 10 on nutrition. Sometimes you just struggle to get 7 out of 10 on fitness, and we're asking you for all this. But there is ways, and it's all about organizing and managing, which we're going to show you now. That you will be able to make a start on this. And even if you start starting at the start with relaxation, fulfillment, recovery, start to think about it. Just because it's not perfect week 1, progress that to week 2, progress that to week 3, week 4, week 5, and you'll start to see it goes from 1 to 2, to 2 to 3, to 3 to 4, and you will be so much better because you keep adapting each week to make sure that you overcome any obstacles that crop up.
100%. So guys, talking about obstacles, it's one of the key things that I think people need to start putting in, that I certainly have started putting in recently. I know Jamie has. I know that I try and work through this with clients all the time. If you want to make really good progress, you need an understanding of what it is that has stopped you in the past, what it is that is likely to stop you at the minute. So, you know, if you've got a pen and you're watching this, or if not, please do this later tonight. And we will actually give you a resource that you can use. We will put it downloadable as well on the Kajabi app. But what will stop me making progress this week if I leave it and I allow it to? So if I don't do anything about it, what's going to get in the way? And
what's going to get in the way? And what do you know is going to get in the way? Whether you might not have control of some of this, you know, like you might not at the minute be in control of every part of your life, and that's fine. We can identify it and we can do our best around it. What things are going to come up? What do we know? Let's start with what we actually know is going to prevent us from moving towards our goal this week. What
is it time?
What stopped you for the past 5 years? What stopped you for the last 3 weeks? What big things have jumped out at you that you need to learn to deal with? A lot of people spoke to me about motivation, stress. Like Josh said there, I don't have the energy or motivation to work out at home. If I let it past 3 o'clock, I can't do it. You know, I keep eating too much. Well, what do you need to do to improve that situation? Have you thought about it, or are you just going to accept that it's a problem? I've got this problem, and I accept it's a problem. I know it's there. I know it's always there. How can I map this out? What is my map to make this feel like I can overcome this? What do I need to do first? What's my first move? Start. What's my first move in all of this? Yeah.
Absolutely, guys. You know, we know this. Like Jamie's saying there, you know what your obstacles are. 9 times out of 10, at least the vast majority of your obstacles that are going to come up this week have been something that have come up before. We've had this conversation with a lot of people, and when we start to write it down, we can see really clearly what it is, and we can see a pattern. And again, for at least 90% of them, you can usually think of a solution. All it takes is that you sit and you spend a couple of minutes thinking. If you can't, you can speak to us and say, look, I know that this is stopping me. I can't think of what I can do about this. And guys, that's why we're here. You know, that's what we can help you to work out, help you to overcome. So being really clear on your obstacles, your challenges, what's going to come up that's going to stop you making progress if you don't come up with an action plan of how am I going to deal with this situation. Obviously, the point here is that if you come up with that action plan and you stick to it, you commit to it, that's not going to stop you. Something else, you know, it might come up, but the vast majority of things that you're faced with and that you're coming up against are not going to get in the way on this journey. So guys, we look at weekly planning, and we can go, what are our essential tasks this week? Again, we should be really clear on what challenges we face, but we need to know what are the key things that need doing this week. What are the key tasks that you need to get done? We can look at that from a work point of view, of course, and from a travel and childcare, family point of view and things. But also, I want you to be planning the same as if you book in a PT session. You need to be planning out, when are you going to train? What is your nutrition going to look like? How many calories are you having every day? What's your day split going to be? What other factors? You know, if you know that you're getting stressed at the minute because whatever's going on day to day, and you've not planned in time, or you've not planned in a process for stress management, then you need to. if you've not planned in anything for fulfillment throughout the entire week, you're not spending any time thinking about yourself, well, that's going to absolutely get on top of you. If you're not spending any time doing any sort of recovery work, rest days, things like that, again, if you're using your exercise to manage stress, it's going to be too much, and it's going to end up coming around and stopping you from making progress. So when you're planning the week, you need to think, what are my essential tasks? What are the things that I know I need to do every day? And most of you, even at this stage, even working from home, if you are working from home, will be able to plan out a day of, these are the essential tasks that need doing, and be able to put them into a time, put them into a routine, put them into a schedule. Once you've got that schedule, guys, then it becomes a case of following the plan. Jay, anything that you want to add to this before we go into the actual?
They'll see more. It comes obvious, doesn't it?
So guys, here's one of the things that we use.
Something that I sort of think that is mega valuable, and if everybody hasn't got something like this, then this will be downloadable on Kajabi, won't it, Josh? We're going to put this on Kajabi so that you can actually print it out.
Yeah, the two sheets that we've got today. Because if you know, we'll make a download.
Because if you know something is going to stop you, and you allow it to stop you, then you can't be pissed off at your results, right? So if you know some challenges in your week and you don't do anything to work around that challenge, then that's going to just be what it is. You know, you're just accepting that that's a problem and it's stopping your progress. Or we can look at it and we can be like, right, Jamie, this is my challenge and I can't think of a way out of it. Do you have a solution? You know, you could say, my challenge is when the kids wake up at 8 a.m., I have no opportunity between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. to do my workout. That leaves you an option. It means that your only option, the only thing on the table, if you want to move close towards your goal and get the workouts done, it's before the kids get up or when the kids have gone to bed. If you're anything like me, it's probably more likely to be before the kids have got up and go out and do something, because once they've gone to bed, you know, you've got the house to tidy or whatever else. But if you allow it to become an issue, and you just accept it as an issue, then that, from my point of view, that's you just not committing to what you said you was going to do. That's you sort of saying you want something, but not being willing to think of a plan to get around it. Yeah, and that's not me being harsh. It's not me giving anyone a harsh word or anything. It's just that is the reality of it, isn't it? You know, you're allowing the challenge to be more important than the goal. When we spoke last week about what's aligned, can you think of a solution for these? These challenges generally have solutions. You know, your biggest challenge, you will all be able to write down your actual solution for it. Key goals are important. If we say, I want to do 5 workouts this week, I want to do 5 workouts this week. Key challenges, I've only got 5 opportunities to do them workouts. Or 6 opportunities to do them workouts. So you know when they have to fit in. It all becomes part of the game. And you can then see that this sort of starts to build up. Key goals. I want to control my nutrition. Key challenges. I haven't got my shopping in yet. So you automatically know. They don't have to match. They don't have to be challenge 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be, I might get furloughed at work. And that's that, or it might be, I've got something to concentrate on that needs my full attention at work. As a challenge, and your goals should be sat there at the top as very clear instructions to you. Them goals are like a commitment. They're like you saying, this is what I must do this week to move closer towards my goal. The challenge is where we come in, and the challenge really is our experience. You might not know the solution. You might be able to answer it, but you might not, and you might need to bring it to us and say, I don't know how I'm going to do this week. And if someone says that to me, I promise you we have an answer for you, and we will be able to help you out with it. We've been in this situation. We've seen these issues, seen problems like this before. So make sure that you have that, and any notes that you've got. So we'll have this as downloadable, and I want you to jump on and start to write this down. We can do it for this week. We can do it for next week. We can start on a Thursday. It doesn't really matter. I did say to Josh, we're probably going to do it for Monday though, and get people to give this a try next week. What are my key goals? If someone is struggling with stress, work on stress management is your key goal. If someone is struggling with drinking too much, not drinking too much is your key goal.
If you are struggling with these things, don't wait till Monday. Download it tonight. Finish. If you want to use 3 for this week, use 3. But
Yeah, you can do it again for Monday, can't you?
Exactly.
So that's the main thing. Is everyone clear on that? Yeah, just give us a thumbs up or whatever if you understand where we're going with that and what your job on this piece of paper is.
Well, yeah, and guys, let us know some of the challenges. If you're genuinely thinking of challenges now and you can't think of a solution to that, just drop it into the comments, fire it over as a message, and we'll go through it and we'll try and help you out. That's the benefit of being on the live videos, is that you can ask questions as we go. Now, really simply, just moving this into daily planning.
Oh, Josh, we lost you a little bit there. Hopefully you'll come back. If not, I will jump in and share my screen, but it probably will be. But yeah, we're talking about daily planning. So we've got to look at the actual day. Oh, you're back now, Josh?
Yeah, I must have only gone for a second because I've not gone off Facebook. But either way.
Yeah, well, you have now. You froze right now on Facebook, aren't you? It's all right. Get into the key tasks. Key
man, but it's all right. So yeah, guys, I mean, the really simple point is that the key tasks for the day, the key challenges for the day, all that this slide is showing that when you're looking at it from a weekly point of view, that's great, but also make sure that you've got a daily point of view. You've got your to-do list. You know what might come up as an obstacle. You know what it is that you need to accomplish to move you towards your goals for that day. And this should include something to do with every aspect of the key five. Your key five have to be balanced throughout the week. And balanced doesn't mean that they all have the same amount of focus. What balanced means is that you give the right amount of attention to the things that need that attention. It's not always doing more training. It's not always doing more relaxation and recovery. It could be. It's dependent on the context, dependent on you. So again, moving into how the weekly planner looks. And this is your other download. And again, this allows you to plan your week. This is something that is so powerful, and people tend not to use. Now, we do this to a level using the app anyway. But I think that this has been an absolute game changer for some people in terms of knowing when are my weight sessions, when am I going to do my cardio sessions.
What types of cardio, what types of weights? This is
one of the beauties of this, sorry, Joe, one sec. One of the beauties of this is that if you are eating to fuel your training and you're on different calories on different days, that's accounted for in this sheet. Straight away, Wednesday, Friday, they're my higher calorie days because they're the days where I've got high intensity intervals followed by some conditioning work, some other conditioning work, and your calories are different. You can also map it out and you can see where are my higher training days. Right, well, what days should I really be prioritizing recovery? If I know I've got a really difficult weight session Monday, Tuesday, and I've got a really difficult conditioning session on Tuesday as well, Wednesday might be a really good day for me to prioritize my recovery. And the full picture makes sense when you look at it on this sheet. So again, this will be downloadable. Sorry, Jay, go
on. Yeah, no, this is where we really get into the detail of what you're supposed to do. Again, leaving things to chance at the minute is probably not going to happen. So if you're struggling with stress, just don't try to deal with stress when you're stressed. Deal with stress management on a daily basis. Deal with, your recovery, your fulfillment. Plan your fulfillment. If you're the type of person that wants to sort of have a bottle of wine on a Friday night, then plan when that's going to be so you know when it's in your diary. If you're the type of person to sort of want to, I don't know, let's say you're going to do quiz night, and you want to make that on a Thursday night or whatever, make sure that you've got things planned in at the minute that are going to keep you that little bit sane as well. This shouldn't all be about like training, what you're doing training wise. It's also got you, am I doing strength workout a push? Am I doing a legs session? Am I doing upper body? Obviously, like I said, try to stick to that. Try to stick to the structure, but certainly if you did something like a light session on one of the days that isn't something planned, cardio, like I said, you could be doing steady state 3-4 days a week, and then you could be doing intervals one day, hit sessions another day. You could be starting to plan that. You can be resting a day or two, whatever, but you'll be able to see, and on the Friday where it comes into calories, you'll be able to see what you're having on what days, and actually get that download and print it off and be, you will have this stuck on your fridge where it'll sort of show you, right, I'm allowed this many calories today, or I'm going to go over. And then even if you do go over your calories on one day, you can maybe adjust the rest of the week to try to fit that around your goals and whatever else as well, which again, Alex will go through a little bit, I'm sure, on his his nutrition later on over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
So,
it might just be me, but I absolutely prefer to have things actually written down either on paper or on a whiteboard. It just becomes, it's fine using all the apps, and the apps are great. Obviously, they are massively useful tools. But when you're looking at the bigger picture of your week, I always find that writing it down is just so much more powerful.
we're going to talk about that Korean War again in this bit.
Guys, one of the big things is how to change state. How do you respond when things are going wrong? Jamie's already sort of alluded to this, but part of the stress management in general is going to be coming from just being better organized. If you're unorganized, you are going to be having to cope with higher levels of stress. You're going to get less done. You're going to have less focus. So having this done, from a top-down approach, being more organized in the first place, and having a clear plan for your week, having a clear plan for your tasks for the day, knowing when you're going to do it and things, that's going to massively help. Sometimes things will go wrong. Make sure that you've got a strategy that when you're getting really stressed, or when something's getting on top of you and your day's ended up sort of being flipped on its head a little bit, that you have got a strategy for coping with that. Occasionally, it's going to mean that you can't get your training session done, or you might not be able to stick to your diet as well as you'd like. And if that is occasional, that's absolutely fine. If that's a complete one-off, it's not an issue at all, and it won't affect your progress at all. If that's coming up on a weekly basis, then there is something that you should be doing, and you should have a plan in place to cope with that. And if it's just that your days are getting longer and you're getting yourself worked up into this headspace of you've been in the office and you've had all these little stresses coming up, make sure that you've got a strategy where you can take yourself out of that space, take yourself out of that frame of mind, change state. And sometimes training actually, it can be good for that, but I would much rather people's stress management, your exercise and training is there for exercise and training. Stress management, please have other strategies, meditation, get out, go for a walk.
I say to people, I always say to everyone that what is the harm in learning? I know meditation isn't for everyone. Breath work's really important. I was saying about this, the cold showers that I've been having, Josh, find something that allows you to clear your head. Find something that allows you to sort of, I say clear your head, that's the worst thing you can say, but, trying to find that, trying to make sure that you've got something in there is going to be really important. Because if one day you try and deal with stress management and you do use training, but that's not an option there, how are you you can't train. I can meditate for 5 minutes and feel much better. I couldn't do that if I had to go and train to do it. If I need to change my if I need to change my 1 o'clock feeling by 1:15, by 1:30, by the time I go into a meeting, I've not got time to go and train to change the way that my brain's working right there. So I've got to find something else. Yeah, I can't have a cold shower either. But like walking, breath work, meditation is something that I can literally go away, sit on my own in my car for 5 minutes and come back with a completely fresh head. All right, don't work all the time. Sometimes I still go into that meeting thinking, or it lasts a few minutes, but you do get better at it as you go along as well.
The flip side of it as well, like the other factor in this is that training, being in the zone to train isn't a case of more stress, the better. You are, if you are overly stressed, your training performance will suffer as well. And the fitter you get, the more you need to be in the right frame of mind for those training sessions. So, you should have a stress management strategy. You should have like a bit of a trigger when you're training to get you into a training zone. But I don't think I can remember once in my life where I've had a successful training session when I've gone into the gym particularly stressed without some sort of stress management thing coming in play before that. Now, sometimes that's during your warm-up. But again, guys, is it really the training session that's doing the stress management, or is it that you're getting into a different environment, you're giving yourself a distraction? Try to make sure that you've got a list of some of these things that you can use as triggers to change state that's not just your training session. So moving beyond that though, providing that we've looked at everything that we needed to look at, we need to talk about commitment. You've covered all of the likely obstacles that are going to get in the way. You've sort of committed, you've told yourself, this is why I need to achieve this goal. This is what my focus is. I'm very clear on that. This is how my week's going to look. This is what might come up, but if that comes up, this is how I'm going to deal with it. You've got all of these structures in place now. So now it's time to just stick to the plan. Just make sure that you are committed to this. It's not always going to be easy. There's going to be challenges. You know, if this was easy, and I know that this is very cliche, but if it was easy, everybody would do it all the time. Nobody would need to have conversations about it. It is difficult, but you need to be ensuring that you are doing what you can to make sure that it works for you. And then if that is in the plan and you've got nothing that's come up that is really stopping you from sticking to the plan, and just get it done. Just get the work done. Sometimes it is going to require that attitude some days, whether that's sticking to your diet, even though you fancy something else, whether that's sticking to your training sessions, even though you're not feeling super motivated. You know, yes, do everything that we've spoke about in previous weeks, setting up your environment, setting up your space, creating habits that make all this as easy as possible. But once you've got that done, guys, a commitment to actually sticking to the plan that you've sort of set, sticking to the commitment that you've made to yourself, and just getting the work done is going to be the thing that allows you to actually make the changes. Sometimes things will come up and they will need to change. If it's a one-off, like I said, it's going to have no effect whatsoever on how much progress you can make on the plan. So don't ever get worked up about that. If that's coming up too often, then you need to see that as an obstacle and you need to put a plan in place. You need to see why that's happening, put a plan in place to deal with it. And it could be that you're just trying to train too often. You know, if you're trying to train 6 days a week and realistically you're always missing a training session and that's knocking your motivation, do you need to train 6 days a week? Can there be something else that goes on? So let's take a look at this. Let's be committed. Let's stick to the plan, because at the end of the day, getting the work done, not just having a plan to do it, but actually sticking to it, following that through, is going to be the thing that leads to results. Jamie, do you want to take this one? Crucially, celebrate the wins.
I always we always remember the negatives. You know, like I read the check-ins for people and I see people doing workouts at home, sticking to diets, you know, getting 50%, 60% of the diets right, you know, overcoming loads of little mini wins all day, every day. You know, people doing PBs on workouts, getting the best, but you never, ever mention it on your check-in forms. I never see, you know, I see the things that have always gone wrong for people, and I think it's very difficult for you to see the things that are going right. You know, from my point of view, I will always stand by the fact that you should be writing down your wins on a daily basis. Every single day, you should write down 3 things that you have won, 3 things that you have, like, whether it's done better in a workout, whether it's do the fucking workout in the first place when you can't be arsed, whether it's, you know, not eat a chocolate bar, whether it's not have a beer. All these little mini wins, you miss. So you're allowing yourself to miss those. Whereas if it was the other way around and there's a chocolate bar there and you eat it, you tell me about it. But you never tell me when you don't. You know, if there's a can of beer in your fridge and you don't drink it, and, you know, you never say, I did well today because I didn't have a beer. You just tell me when you have had a beer. You don't realize all the things that you're doing well. And when you don't realize all the things that you're doing well, and, you know, you're constantly reminded, you shine, and as they say, where attention goes, energy flows. And that's true. You know, if you feel like you're always sort of catching up, you feel like you're not winning with stuff, you know, and I've had the conversations again today with people that, you know, I'm rubbish at this. I'm rubbish at this. I'm no good at this. And this was a lady that's actually, you know, got a lot of stuff going on at the minute. And she's like, oh, I'm rubbish at this. Can't do this. Or this is just me. I'm just not very good at this. Don't say those sort of things to yourself, because if you're constantly reminding yourself of those things, you've got to be seeing the positives when they come up. You've got to be doing it. I watched Charles Archie in the garden the other day, and this is a bit of a personal story, but it's one that I think is important. When you are a baby, he's not a baby, he's 4, but when you're a young kid, you walk around the world saying wow all the time. You're like, wow, look at this, the grass is green, wow, it's water, wow, look at the sky. And I always say that, you know, you notice them things when you're a kid. And I was sat watching him in the garden the other day, and, you know, everything for him, he's the happiest kid in the world, because everything that he sees, everything that he does is sort of awesome. Yeah, I know he might not have seen it before, but he sees the positives all the time. Yeah, he'll scream his head off when he hurts himself or something, but the majority of the time, it's like, I'm having fun. I see the positives, and because he sees the positives, that's why his demeanour is as it is. He's here now, running in and talking about you. I want to rocket lolly. You want to rocket lolly? You see what I do? He wants a rocket lolly at this time. You can't have a rocket lolly because he just brush your teeth. But yeah, you know, we got to put these things into practice. And you, 1 minute, pal. Oh, you want a rocket? See, I can't help but say it to him. You're not having one. But no, so all these things that we've got, all these things that he's gone straight upstairs, by the way. That's him running up the stairs to ask his mum for a rocket lolly. There's all these things that kids see and do that they think are amazing because they see it and they recognize it. As an adult, we don't necessarily recognize it. We let it pass. We let them mini wins pass. We let the awesome weather that we've had go amiss. We let the run that you've done for the first time in ages go amiss. We let the workout that you've managed to do in your back room. When was the last time you did a workout outside lockdown in your back room? Well, you didn't, did you? You know, these are all positives that you're actually watching webinars. You're doing things that you need to be writing down. I am proud of myself today because I did this. I call it strategic confidence. We call it strategic confidence on some of the programs because there's a strategy to how motivated you feel. There's a strategy to how good you feel about yourself. You know, don't only shine the torch on the negative things, shine it on the positives. Where attention goes, energy falls.
100%. And guys, one of the things that I do for that, it took me a while to sort of really understand these wins because when I was first introduced to this concept, I was sort of thinking, yeah, I'm getting a lot done, but you know, I wasn't clear what I wanted to write down as a wins because you always think that it needs to be something big. It doesn't. Everything that you do, one thing that I do at the minute is just I've got a to-do list, which I've had for years, and now I have a done list. And that's basically everything on my done list I see as a win for that day. Stuff that I knew I needed to have done, and I've done it. And even things that weren't on my to-do list, things that have come up last minute, or just interactions, positive interactions that I've had with people, they go onto the done list. And when you're looking back over that, it just helps completely shift the mindset, shift sort of how successful you see that day, see that week. And what you can do is start to use this data. And we'll talk about that now because realistically, you start to use this and you can reflect each day. What have you done well? What can you improve next time? You know, is that going to be something that comes up as an obstacle? Focus on what you've done well, obviously. But each week, use this information that you've got. This is what I'm awesome at. This is where I can now spend a little bit more attention to make sure that that is all helping me get towards my goals. Spoke about this, reset your focus. Make sure that you are clear on what you're trying to achieve. You know, use the information that you've got.
No, Josh has gone again. But yeah, you know, you should be doing this on your check-ins. You should be looking at your information on your check-in form, and you should be able to clearly see all the things. Sorry, Josh, you're back now. But I just got through the reset bit, and them being able to see all the things that they did well. Just so you guys, just a recap on some of the previous slides, if you sort of, if this is going a little bit fast for you. Remember the slide that shows us what we do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it's got the training, cardio. It's got 10 opportunities there for wins, and I'm asking for 3. You know, we're asking for 3. Yeah, go back that one there, and or 7 is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 then. 8 points there that's available for you. 8 things that you could say, you know what, my sleep was great. I did this before bed. You could say I'd managed stress like this, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, putting all this together, weekly planner, to-do list today, I need to do this, and this. And then when you've done it, put it onto your done list, like Josh is saying, then at the end of the week, that little journal that you've kept is all of a sudden, you know, like gold dust for your confidence, because you don't have to answer the questions of the negative, what have I done bad this week? You can concentrate on the good things, and we can actually use the momentum from the positives to drive us forwards into next week and continue to get better results.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
and there we go, guys. That is everything for today. So again, you know, thanks for joining us. It's something else that I think this week, in terms of practical takeaways, we will put these downloadable PDFs onto Kajabi so that you can just pull these off. You can start to use them. And I think that in terms of practical takeaways, if you do what we've spoke about this week, your progress next week will again transform. It will go up another level. And if you can work day to day by sort of sticking to these plans, you get your planning and organisation right, I guarantee that your training, your diet, everything becomes a hell of a lot easier. Your stress management, and ultimately you end up doing better. You get better results. So, Jay, any closing points?
Oh, I'm all good. Thank you very much for attending, guys. Appreciate that.
Cool. Jamie, I think that you're running the webinar, so I'll leave you to finish it.
All right, cheers, guys. Thank you very much for attending, and we will speak next week. Cheers.
See you all later.